Klay, I have a question that has nothing to do with on the floor. I've always said you're one of the most competitive guys I've seen in this era. Tell me, where does that come from? And it seems like in year 12, you're still ramping up that competitiveness. You seem like you're going to another level.
Well, I appreciate that, Smitty. I think it comes from watching y'all play growing up a 90s baby and watching the 90s and 2000s. There are so many the greatest to ever play this game were the biggest competitors. I mean, being the shooting guard I am, I idolized Kobe Bryant, and he was never one to make friends out on the floor. He just wanted to win at all costs. And my style resembles that of Reggie Miller. I call myself the modern-day Reggie. And, I mean, Reggie got in so many scraps. He got under so many people's skin. So I really love those two guys at the two-guard spot, and they left it all out there, man. And that's what I want to do when I look back at my career is say, man, I gave it everything I had, and I competed at the highest level I could.
Klay Thompson is officially a member of the Dallas Mavericks. Why he chose Dallas at this point in his career and why it's a perfect fit for him and the Mavericks. This is Inside the Mavs, presented by Mint Mobile. Welcome to Inside the Mavs, presented by Mint Mobile. I'm your host, Kevin Gray, Mavericks pre- and post-game host of the Dallas Mavericks Radio Network. Appreciate you joining me here for the latest episode of Inside the Mavs. Make sure you download and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast for free. Give it a 5-star rating or write a review for it while you're there. And if you're watching this on my YouTube channel at Kevin Gray Sports, make sure you like and comment on the video and subscribe to Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. And you can follow me on Twitter at Kevin Gray Sports as well. Klay Thompson is officially a Dallas Maverick in what was a historic 6-team NBA trade. The Dallas Mavericks land Klay Thompson and a second-round pick as he, now at age 34, is a member of the Dallas Mavericks. Klay Thompson posting on his Instagram that he is ready to have some fun in Dallas. And for him, it is a perfect fit for the Mavericks and for Klay at this stage of his career. At 34 years old, a 4-time NBA champion who has seen and had an illustrious career thus far after playing 13 seasons with the Golden State Warriors, now opens up the next chapter of his career in Dallas, where he will wear the number 31, much like how Nick Van Exel did, and also Jason Terry. Jason Terry, of course, helping the Dallas Mavericks win an NBA championship back in 2011. Klay Thompson will look to do the same here in Dallas. Klay, of course, one of the greatest three-point shooters in the history of the league. Last year was 4th in the NBA in three-pointers made, shot nearly 39% from three, and made 219 catch-and-shoot threes last year. Arguably the greatest catch-and-shoot three-point artist that the game has ever seen, and a perfect match for Dallas, who needs that kind of three-point shooting going into this upcoming season. The looks that Klay will get from Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving will be open and plentiful for him in his time in Dallas. But for Klay, this was about the idea that he could help a team on the cusp of trying to win an NBA championship. Nico Harrison lauding the championship experience of Klay Thompson in his statement, with Klay Thompson coming over to the Dallas Mavericks, and all the things that Klay will bring based on not just experience, but also what he still has left in the tank. And I know Mavericks fans will have questions about what exactly he has left in the tank, but what we have learned is that this is a man that is motivated to prove doubters and naysayers wrong at this stage of his life and career, forsaking the idea of playing with his hometown Los Angeles Lakers team after his relationship with the Golden State Warriors was irretrievable. He decided that a clean, fresh start would be the right one for him. And honestly, that shouldn't surprise you, given what we learned about Thompson throughout the course of his career. A man who marches to the beat of his own drum and wants to continue to build a legacy that is built on his name and his name alone. not his famous father, Michael Thompson, who, of course, was an NBA champion with the Los Angeles Lakers, part of the broadcast team of the Lakers to this day. Thompson has stood on his own 2 feet, and when he's able to make his own decisions, has made decisions that are in the best interest of him, even when they weren't popular or seem like the right ones, based on other factors that you would think would allow him to make certain decisions that would make sense to you and I. But for him, he now has a chance to continue to put another historic chapter into his Hall of Fame career that sees him play alongside Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. And I want to spend some time on Kyrie Irving and Klay Thompson here for just a second, not just because they share a shoe company, but for Klay Thompson, he watched Kyrie Irving be able to come to Dallas, be able to learn and experience the peace that Kyrie Irving has been able to now have being a member of this team, working with Jason Kidd, working with Nico Harrison, and the infrastructure that the Mavericks have put in place for Kyrie to be able to succeed here. That family, that culture, that atmosphere, attractive to Thompson, not just the basketball fit on the floor, but what for Thompson is able to seek at this stage of his life off the floor as well. A man who loves to be out on his boat and be able to be to himself and experience what nature has to offer. Well, yeah, Texas doesn't necessarily have its beaches here in Dallas. What it does have is an opportunity for him to find peace and serenity off the floor, much like how Kyrie Irving has been able to do so. And yes, while Kyrie Irving's situation was different in Brooklyn and some of the trouble that he had was brought on by himself, Thompson is looking for a start that is anew in a place where he can find that kind of respite here in Dallas, which is funny because we're watching the Mavericks become the organization that allows others to be able to get away from the quote-unquote glamour and the noise, despite the fact that Dallas in and of itself is a big-time city and market. Yes, the Cowboys are the #1 show in town. Yes, these Texas Rangers are the World Series, the reigning World Series champions, and its Mavericks have put themselves in position to be in a championship window for years to come. Even the Dallas Stars making noise over the playoffs over the last couple of years as well. But it's for Klay getting out of the fishbowl that was the Golden State Warriors and forsaking another one with the Los Angeles Lakers that sees him now here in Dallas. Some interesting reporting, of course, from Ramona Shelburne, which we'll get to here in just a moment, because Klay looked at what he saw in terms of the Mavericks run to the NBA Finals, but also what he had in a chance to help him continue to grow in his life on and off the floor that made him attractive here. But before we get there, let's hear from today's sponsor of our video and our podcast, to hear from today's video partner in Mint Mobile. Today's video partner is Mint Mobile. Have you ever thought, why in the world is my wireless bill so high? What am I actually paying for? Speed, data, coverage, access to 5G, mobile hotspots, unlimited talk and text. What am I actually getting for all of this? Mint Mobile offers all these features for as low as $15 a month, and that's why I've partnered with Mint Mobile. They reimagined the wireless shopping experience and made it easy and online. No stores, no salespeople, just huge direct-to-you savings. Why should you pay more than you have to for access to premium wireless? Mint Mobile runs on the nation's largest 5G network. Go to mintmobile.com, also linked in my description, to get premium wireless for $15 a month. Switching to Mint is super easy. Thanks to digital eSIM cards, which most phones now have, you can sign up and activate immediately right on your phone from the comfort of your own home. If your phone doesn't have an eSIM, Mint will ship you a new SIM card for free. Big Wireless wants you to think that they're the only option. Don't be duped. Go to mintmobile.com/Kevin Gray, also linked in my description, to stop paying more than what you have to for your phone plan.
Hey there, it's Ryan Reynolds, owner of Mint Mobile. Enticing, right?
Back here on Inside the Mavs, thank you to today's video partner in Mint Mobile. Klay Thompson, officially a member of the Dallas Mavericks, and some interesting reporting coming from Ramona Shelburne, who detailed how the Warriors and Klay Thompson's relationship ultimately came to an end. I want you to hear and listen to this excerpt from her latest piece detailing how Klay Thompson came to be with the Mavericks. Quote, Thompson loved watching the Dallas Mavericks run throughout the playoffs this year. He was intrigued by the young Oklahoma City Thunder. He had always wanted to play for the Lakers in the uniform of his childhood idol, Kobe Bryant. But in the final week before free agency started, Thompson met with Steve Kerr and in Los Angeles and told him all of this. Sources told Ramona Shelburne. He called Draymond Green, and Stephen Curry and told them he wanted a fresh start and asked them not to use their organizational clout to interfere with the negotiations with the team. Then he called Lacob and general manager Mike Dunleavy Jr. and asked him to help him get to a team of his choosing via sign and trade if necessary. Everyone wished him well, and they would be amicably separated. Dallas was his top choice. He loved the way the Mavericks played and believed an ideal fit alongside Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, sources told Shelburne. He came to a dinner meeting with the Mavericks front office, having studied tape and already projecting out how he could help them, end quote. That gives you an idea of how motivated Klay Thompson is to be a part of this team. He came prepared to the meeting with the Dallas Mavericks, wanting to let them know how he can help them and that he was pitching himself to join this team. And if that doesn't give you any indication on how much this player, who is defiantly trying to turn around the narrative of what he has been perceived to be over the last couple of years, despite what the numbers say and what he's doing on the floor, and despite how we may feel about the last time that we saw him on the floor going 0 of 10 in the playing game, it's more about Klay Thompson and what he has been, but more importantly, what he's trying to define himself to become at this stage of his career. Listen to Klay Thompson here speaking about the competitive drive that he has and where it came from as he continues his career. Take a listen.
Klay, I have a question that has nothing to do with on the floor. I've always said you're one of the most competitive guys I've seen in this era. Tell me, where does that come from? And it seems like in year 12, you're still ramping up that competitiveness. You seem like you're going to another level.
Well, I appreciate that, Smitty. I think it comes from watching y'all play in growing up a 90s baby and watching the 90s and 2000s. There are so many the greatest to ever play this game with the biggest competitors. I mean, being the shooting guard I am, I idolized Kobe Bryant, and he was never one to make friends out on the floor. He just wanted to win at all costs. And my style resembles that of Reggie Miller. I call myself the modern-day Reggie. And, I mean, Reggie got in so many scraps. He got under so many people's skin. So I really love those two guys at the two-guard spot, and they left it all out there, man. And that's what I want to do when I look back at my career, is say, man, I gave it everything I had, and I competed at the highest level I could.
Klay is a competitor. You've seen him come back from an Achilles injury, from a torn ACL, to help the Golden State Warriors win a championship back in 2022. Mavericks fans know all too well Klay Thompson and what he was able to do. Of course, the Mavericks losing to the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals a couple of years ago, as Klay went on to win his 4th NBA championship. But by listening to him, you get an idea of how competitive he is. And when you bring that kind of veteran leadership and experience to this team, who can use not only the experience that they gain in making NBA Finals run, but then putting that alongside Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, yes, we will dissect the basketball part of this when it comes to Klay Thompson's ability to shoot the basketball from the three-point line as a movement shooter, whether it be off of screens, pin downs, all the X's and O's and everything else. We will dissect in the coming days and weeks for Klay Thompson in terms of his basketball IQ and his fit with the Mavericks. But the most important thing about Thompson choosing the Dallas Mavericks is that a player of his accomplishment, a player that has seen everything and won at the highest levels, decided that the Mavericks were the best place for him to play at this point of his life and his career. And that is a testament not only to what this organization has built, but to Nico Harrison and what he has been able to continue to grow and develop here. And a guy that has deep connections and relationships around the league has been able to not only leverage those in creating the bonds that he has around the league and in the basketball world, but how he's been able to turn himself into a pretty damn good general manager itself, and the way he's put together this roster. There's still work to do with one final roster spot left, whether that be a Spencer Dinwiddie or a Dennis Smith Jr. that we've reportedly heard, who could be filling out the roster as well. But for Klay Thompson, he knew the vision that he had, and most importantly, the Mavericks have a vision for what Klay Thompson can be on this team. Again, speaking to the idea when it comes to Kyrie Irving, for example, The Mavericks had a vision for what they believed Irving could still be and how he could influence his team positively, especially when it came to Luka Doncic, and they've turned out to be absolutely right. The acquisitions of P.J. Washington and Daniel Gafford have proven to be invaluable moves for this team to remake their identity as they continue to grow together as a team. For Nico Harrison, Jason Kidd, and this entire coaching staff and front office, that is the most important part about the players that they've acquired. They fit into the vision of what the Mavericks can still become, even with now having experience making it to the NBA Finals. And that's a team that is still there to grow that much more with arguably the best player in the world in Luka Doncic. That is the potential that Klay Thompson saw and why he decided to choose the Dallas Mavericks. I'm so excited to hear from Klay as the days go on about specifically what this team means to him at this stage of his life and his career, why he feels like this is the best opportunity for win a championship, because that is another huge aspect of Klay Thompson choosing the Mavericks. The Mavericks right now are in a position in the West to have an opportunity to win a championship. Even when you look at the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Denver Nuggets, whomever you want to think about in terms of the top 3 or 4 teams in the West, the Mavericks remain a legitimate threat to get out of the West once again, because they now have the players in place and the experience to go along with it to be able to make a legitimate run back to the NBA Finals. Not that it will be easy, of course. Luka Doncic has to find a way to get himself healthy after his season officially ended after losing in the semifinals with Team Slovenia to Greece, where unfortunately he will not be playing in this year's Olympics. So now he will have some much needed and much deserved time off to be able to get his body right to get ready for training camp later on this year. And he will be greeted not just with, of course, his teammate and Kyrie Irving, yes, with P.J. Washington, Daniel Gafford, and also Derek Lively, the second coming off a sensational rookie year, but a 4-time NBA champion who will now embark on a stage of his career, taking a look back at one of the biggest regrets of his career by looking at Kyrie Irving as a teammate now in the face. You say, Kevin, what are you talking about? You remember back in 2016, Klay Thompson switched off and found himself seeing Stephen Curry being matched up onto Kyrie Irving. And what did Kyrie Irving do? He hit one of the greatest shots that we've ever seen in NBA history and helping deliver a championship to Cleveland. Now, the delicious basketball irony is that Klay Thompson and Kyrie Irving will now share the same uniform for the first time in the NBA. Yes, they were members of Team USA for the World Cup in 2014 and the Rio Olympics in 2016. So they know what it is to win championship gold together as members of Team USA. Now they'll look to do it as teammates in the NBA with the Dallas Mavericks. But all of this culminates in the fact that this is an official change in the way that the Mavericks are perceived around the league and what they are viewed at in terms of potential threats going forward for the next few years. And that, for Mavericks fans, for those who watch this team, cover this team, and have experienced what this team has gone through to get to this point to make a finals run, that is another massive aspect of Klay Thompson choosing the Mavericks. The perception of this team is now officially changed. No longer is it not considered a free agent destination, but it is considered a place where you can go to find peace in basketball, but still remain competitive toward winning a championship. And there is proof of concept now with that. Kyrie Irving having experienced that, making it to the NBA Finals for the first time in 7 years. Luka Doncic making his first ever NBA Finals appearance after what was a historic season as a scoring champion, top 3 MVP vote getter, 5 consecutive years now as a first-team All-NBA selection. All the histrionics that go with Luka Doncic. Now Klay Thompson feels like he can be a final piece to the puzzle that can lead the Mavericks to a championship. Again, the dissection of his basketball fit, what he is or what he isn't physically at this stage at being 34 years old. But what he still is a devastating three-point artist that will have his fill of open looks from downtown all season long because of what Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic will provide to them. And the influence that he's going to have on a guy like P.J. Washington, for example, who continues to retool and remake his own three-point shot Imagine the influence that Klay Thompson is going to have imparting his experience to a guy in PJ who's going to be counted upon as a true 3-and-D guy for this team, especially with the departure of Derrick Jones Jr. Klay Thompson is perfect for what the Mavericks need him to be, and the Mavericks are the perfect team for him at this point in his life to continue to grow as the kind of player and person that Thompson wants to be on and off the floor. And if anything that we've learned from him over the last 13 years, the competitive drive and fire that Klay is about to bring to this team is something that may only rival that of Luka Doncic. And yes, Klay goes about his business a little bit differently, a bit more quietly than most. But don't confuse that quiet demeanor for a player that's not competitive or aloof. Klay Thompson is a guy that competes. You don't get to a guy being a guy who made 37 points in a quarter or 14 made threes in a game or scored 60 points in a game or the epic game 6 that he had against the Oklahoma City Thunder without having a competitive fire and drive that pushes you to be the best in the most clutch of situations. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what Klay Thompson will be. And now you get to match that competitive fire with the wisdom that he's gained as well. And it should be a match made in heaven for the Dallas Mavericks. I, for one, cannot wait to see what Klay Thompson does wearing the number 31, what he can do at age 34 and beyond, and how he continues to help this team move that much closer to winning an NBA championship, looking to do so for the first time since 2011. They are on the right path and trajectory, are the Dallas Mavericks. Klay Thompson may be the final piece to that championship puzzle, and he decided that he wanted to be here and made that decision all on his own, and now has a chance to prove the naysayers and doubters wrong and defiantly prove that he still has what it takes to be an NBA championship, looking for one for the thumb, if you will, in order to be called champion once again, and to do so on his own terms. Klay Thompson, officially a member of the Dallas Mavericks. He'll be wearing number 31 moving forward for your Mavericks. That'll do it for this episode of Inside the Mavs. Again, thank you so much for joining me here on this episode. Make sure you download and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast for free. Give it a 5-star rating. Write a review for it while you're there. If you're watching this on my YouTube channel, make sure you like and comment on the video as well. Subscribe to Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube, and you can follow me on Twitter at Kevin Gray Sports as well. This has been Inside the Mavs, presented by Mint Mobile.